I decided to try using a new screen recorder, thinking it might not flicker as much as the Xbox screen recorder I've been using. I got an entire wall built and realized the recording had stopped about a minute in and I had nothing. So for this next wall, I wanted to show how I drew it, but I'm just going to use the cut lumber I made and try to explain the details as best I can. The first thing we're going to do is measure 5.5 inches from the edge like we did on the other wall. Then lay the bottom plate for the wall on that line. We know that the wall is 10 feet wide, so we can just use a 10-foot 2x6 or two pieces that connect over a stud. To figure out our stud length, we know that our ceiling height is going to be exactly 8 feet. This can change depending on whether you use 1/2 inch drywall on the ceiling or 5/8, or maybe you don't care if your ceiling is 8 foot 4.5 inches. For our purposes, our ceiling is going to be 8 feet with 1/2 inch drywall on the ceiling. So we can calculate 8 feet minus 1.5 inches for the sole plate and 3 inches for the double top plate. Then add a 1/2 inch for the drywall or 5/8 or whatever your ceiling material thickness is going to be. Then place all your studs 16 inches on center except where the windows are going to be. We can see from the elevations that this wall is going to have two windows side by side. The rough openings will be 2 feet 3.5 inches and will measure 2 feet 10.25 inches from the right side. Fortunately, this is where our stud is already. What we don't want is for our window to land in the middle of a stud, so we would have to move it over by an inch or so either way. The finished wall may not end up perfectly like the plans. You know what they say, plans change. Anyway, figure out your rough openings. It may be helpful to draw lines on the subfloor to make sure everything is going to fit together. First, place your double top plates on the floor. Now we can start framing the windows. If we want our windows to be at 6'8", we can measure up to the point from the bottom of the sole plate and add a 1/2 inch for our rough opening. Then measure down for the height of the window plus a 1/2 inch for the vertical rough opening. Measure down another 1.5 inches for the window sill. We know that the cripple under the window measures 3 foot 3.5 inches, so cut 6 pieces at that length for the two windows. The width of the windowsill is going to be 2 foot 6.5 inches. Cut 4 of those and lay one in place. Then place the jack studs above the windowsill. There are other ways to frame windows. This is just how I do it. Then lay one of the sill pieces you cut above the window opening. Now you need 2 or maybe 3 headers the same length that go just under the top plate. Now you'll need 3 short cripples on top of the window rough opening. Make sure they are on your 16-inch stud layout. Now you can frame the second window exactly the same. Then add 2 cripples below the window that you cut previously. Make sure they are 16 inches on center. And if everything fits, you can nail everything together. Now lay your first sheathing board 12 inches below the bottom plate, just like the other wall. Cut a piece to fill the gap on the end. You can cut holes for the windows before attaching them to the studs, but we will see why this is not a good idea. As you can see here, I cut the holes wrong. I can either recut a new board or I can cut a 1.5 inch strip to fill the gap. I'm not sure how that happened. Easy for me to fix. I will put sheeting on the upper part of the wall after the rafters are installed. Now we can stand up the wall and attach some bracing. I see those guys are still hanging around. Creepy.